Yeah, we were. It was a really good football game. On that, they're a good team, and I felt like we played well at times. It wasn't a lack of effort. I thought our kids played hard. It's some execution things we got to get better, and obviously we had some timely penalties that killed us. On certain things. And I think we had 5 or 6 penalties in the game, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when they happened, it was devastating on certain things. Pass interference call on 3rd and 18 that, it was a bang play, and did he get there a little early? Maybe, on that part of it, but it was a bang play. Obviously having 12 on the field when they're handing us the ball back on a punt, and we have 12 on the field on our punt return team, and they end up going down and scoring. That's something that's a staff thing. We gotta get that fixed on that part of it. But there's some things like that just happened. We had 2 interceptions, and on both interceptions we get a 15-yard penalty after it. And, against good teams, you're not going to win games doing that, and we've talked about it. So hopefully we get some things figured out. But what I will say is our kids played hard all the way through the game, so it wasn't that. It was just it was a mixture of not executing the way we want, but at the same time, you got to give UTPB credit. They're a good football team, and they were part of that issue of not executing, I think, at times. So we're a good football team. It was unfortunate in the way the thing ended, but I still feel really good about where we stand as a football team, and keep playing hard and keep going on to the next one and see what happens at the end.
How does your offense plan to bounce back and get back in the rhythm, especially with Braden Fuller back and healthy?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is to continue getting him the reps and that kind of thing too, to keep going. At the end of the day, he's healthy and ready to go, but 3 weeks off and 4 weeks off is still some time. You got to knock the rust off in game reps. So, but at the end of the day, I thought again, I'll go back to it, the execution part of things. Our guys just trying to continue to get better at what we're doing, get back to some basics a little bit and how we do things. But, offensively, we're loaded with weapons. We got to find ways to utilize them and get the ball to our guys and continue to do that. And Braden will continue to grow as a quarterback, in this deal. Again, it's a setback when you miss the weeks that he missed, but at the same time, he's a good football player, and he gives us a great chance to win games, and he's shown that. So, we'll continue to keep working and improve, and that's the neat thing about this. We got 6 more. We got 6 more games, and we can still do a lot of special things within those games, and we'll be excited to get back out there today and get going against Kingsville.
You already touched on my next question. You mentioned execution and penalties, but overall, what would you say is your biggest takeaway from the UTPB game and how you address that in practice this week?
Well, it's continual reminders of what it takes to be a championship caliber team. That's what it comes down to. You got to practice like champions, and I felt we did. I think at times we had some emotions get in the way of a big game, and that was a couple of those penalties. There's a couple of them I didn't necessarily agree with, but I'm not going to get into all that, with it. And we tell our kids to play hard between the whistles, and if we get a 15-yard penalty for knocking a quarterback down after he throws an interception, then I guess we'll take that penalty. But that's the type of stuff I didn't agree with. But at the end of the day, we got to get our kids to play with under their emotions, and understand that there's things that you just got to continue to improve on. But our guy, and we talk about it in practice all the time with our guys, but they're 18 to 22-year-old guys. You got to continue to work with them. But I think it's just the guidance of coaching staff and continue to work in those directions. Execution-wise, though, that's definitely the practice and the reps and the continuation of what we're doing. Maybe getting away from a million things that we do down to some, bread and butter, what we do, and get better at that, and see if we can't clean up the execution there a little bit.
Coach, you still got a slew of tough teams left on the schedule, including Kingsville this weekend. Just what do you expect from Kingsville, and how are y'all preparing for them?
Yeah, they're another air raid team. They're going to throw it a lot. They run it a little bit more than most air raids do, I guess. But the new coaching staff in there. Coach Parr, Scott Parr, is the new head coach at Kingsville, and their head coach moved to the athletic director role last year. Coach Salinas did a great job there getting that program back, and They've changed the air raid a little bit, so it's going to be another one of those games that we're probably going to see the ball in the air 50 or 60 times, and we're going to have to play that and continue to get good pass rush. I thought that's something we did a decent job of Saturday, and how many times UTPB threw it, but get good pass rush and get some pressure on the kid, and the quarterback, they got a transfer that came in with Coach Parr from La Tech, so we'll have our hands full on that part, getting prepared, but it's about getting healthy too. That's the other thing this week, to get ready for Kingsville. It was a physical football game Saturday against UTPB, so getting healthy will be something that will be important for this week.
Not saying anything against the guys at all on Saturday, but what's the overall feel in the locker room after the one loss, especially in a conference as talented as the LSC? Do you think this will light a fire under them the rest of the season, or are we going to see different Rams come out on Saturday?
That's a great question, and we talked about it. We did. Nobody feels great. Everybody. We watched the film this morning with our players, got that out of the way, so we get that done and we can move forward. We'll talk a little bit about it at practice today before we always do, but it's not the end of the world. We got to go out and just play football, and we talk about being 1-0 each week and continuing to get better as a football team each and every week. And we lost a football game Saturday, but I don't know that we didn't get worse. I think we played a really good football team. We took some steps back maybe in understand the emotion part of the game and the penalties, which again I'll go back to it. Some I agreed with, obvious penalties, and some of them I just didn't, on that part of things, and that's just the way it goes. But this is a good football team, and remind these guys, we're 11-1 in conference over the last 12 games. We're going to win games. We're going to continue to play hard and work hard and do those things. If we want to win games, though, we have to continue doing that. And so it's not the end of the world. Our kids just feel that way after a loss. It's been a while since we've had one in conference, and that's the way things go. But I'm excited about it. It's a challenge to our coaching staff. It's a challenge to our players, especially the upperclassmen, the leaders of our group, to get them back in line and get them back going. And I think they'll do that.
And last one here from me, Coach. Obviously, Brayton's first game back after sitting out a couple weeks. You've already touched on that a little bit, but how do you assess his performance, and how glad were the guys to have him back?
Well, it's great to have him back. All around, he's definitely one of the biggest leaders on our football team. He's a guy that both emotionally and talent-wise, he's just a good football player. So he gives us confidence in what we're doing. There was probably a little rust, and he'll be the first one to admit that with it. But at the end of the day, he gives us a great chance to win games. So the players were excited about having him back and getting him out there, and I know he was, and to get out there and play. And he's been a leader for us for a year now, a little over a year now, all last season and then this year too. So it gives us a great chance to win, and we're excited about him continuing his journey as a quarterback here, and get us back on the winning track this week.
Thank you, Coach.
You bet. Thanks, guys.